Hi to all listening, it's Graham Broughton here, Managing Director for Europe for We Are Pentagon, the global marketplace experts, and we're here today at the New Egg Seller Summit, and I'm being joined by Sarah Carroll, who is a #1 Amazon author for her book Grow Fast, Grow Global. And in this interview, we're going to get an overview of Sarah's career, what inspired her to start and write about growing businesses and going global, and find out some super useful hints, tips and traits in terms of what to experience and how to do it. So Sarah, welcome. Thank you ever so much. Huge thank you for taking the time out of your diary today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Excellent. And just before we kind of jump into everything, I'd just like to give a bit of so we're here at the New Egg event, the Seller Summit today. What's your thoughts been on the day?
Absolutely enjoyed it. It's been absolutely great to have loads of great speakers, to learn about the importance of e-marketplaces in global e-commerce and how it's going to become like over 50% of all sales are going to be through e-marketplaces, so nobody can really ignore the fact that they should be listing, basically.
Yeah. And did you enjoy your panel session just then?
We had a great time, didn't we?
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. I thought Ray kind of asked a few impromptu questions, and we had a very solid kind of 4 or 5 questions. Then he completely went off the mark.
He went off
and
the
he just went
rails
for it, didn't he?
But we cope because we're a chatty lot.
Yes, unfortunately. Well, we are definitely. So let's dip into the book a little bit and kind of what inspired you to write it, and a little bit about yourself, and yeah.
Yeah, of course. So, I think really the whole international stuff I've always loved. When I was a wee lass, I just loved learning languages. I speak fluent French and a couple of other languages in a little bit. But, that was sort of always my thing, is wanting to travel, and that's sort of where I came in. Then I joined 2 global management consultancies. So I worked for Deloitte and Accenture. Okay. So obviously that was quite international at the time. And because I spoke languages, I kept getting pushed out on the projects abroad and overseas, or she was good because she speaks these languages and this type of thing. So I ended up working in quite a few different countries. And then I set up my own business, and I came across what was at the time UK Trade and Investment, UKTI, part of the government that helps companies to export. And as part of that, we were looking at people's communications when they were working internationally. And then after a little while, we were like, well, because I was doing that from about 2005, sort of before all this stuff really took over. And so what we decided was that we would look at websites and how to improve those for international visitors. It could be something simple like putting +44 on a telephone number to sort of more complex things. And obviously as time went on, we realised that people were starting to get sales from across the world. So then we started working out how to internationalise websites properly. And then of course following on from that came e-marketplaces. So we started looking at that and how to help companies to optimise that. One of the things I love doing though is running workshops and actually inspiring people to do this in the first place, because a lot of people are scared to go international. It's a big ask to go international and digital, I suppose. So then, so I've worked with like 700 companies on a one-to-one basis, mostly small and medium-sized companies, but it is applicable for larger companies too. And also I've trained about 4,000 people on webinars, seminars and workshops. So I figured I'd probably had contact with about 5,000 companies. So I thought about a couple of years ago it was the time to take stock and see, because we're working so quickly, it's like, why do some companies succeed and do really, really well? Yeah. And why have some companies not really even got off the starting block or decided not to do it? And that was really, when I looked at that and I sort of did all the analysis on that, I thought, there's a book in here.
Excellent. And you thought...
And that's what it's in there. So really, everything in here is, the whole journey and everything that I've learned from doing that review on basically what are the best ways to actually sell internationally and online, and how to do it successfully.
That's amazing, because I think from what you've just talked about, there's a wealth of experience there, and you've kind of gone through a bit of at the start of the journey it's quite organic, and then it turns into more of a strategic, programmatic approach in terms of how to do it.
Absolutely.
And then you can't do that in terms of scale, talking to 700 businesses and then 4,000 people if you don't have a really good blueprint to making that successful.
Exactly.
So can you kind of dip into a few of those points for us?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that I realised is that every single company that we've worked with go through what I call the international digital journey. So they start off knowing nothing about it and are completely oblivious to knowing whether that they want to go international or go digital. And then they start to get like a little bit of knowledge about it. And then they go into this stage and they sort of think, oh, I should do that. But then they hit this stage of procrastinate, where basically they're just like doing nothing about it, but it's still on their to-do list. And I've had clients that have stayed in that stage, literally. I met somebody in 2008 and she started to update all her websites and start taking this seriously in 2016. So you imagine all the lost sales that she's had like in all of that time. And then you can go on, and then the next thing that people generally do is they start deviating. They sort of say, oh, my friend's cousin does websites and, you know, he can do this, and they, you know, they sort of like make a botch up of it. But despite that, they tend to get sales. So then people tend to start taking it more seriously. They think, oh, there might be something in this, and it's usually those first few sales that convince people from, you know, a standing start that they can do it. But then a lot of companies now, and I know a lot of companies you work with, are what at the stage I call dedicate, you know, well over 50% of their business will be from online, and you know, and it's a core part of their business, and they're taking it seriously. So it's at that point, I think that it's really important, you know, then to start going international. That if you've got a fully functioning business within the UK, in our instance, or in your home country if you're not in the UK, then that's the point at which, you know, I think you can start looking at all the complexities of the things we've learned today. And then the first market you go into is always the most difficult. So for example, if you go into the US, you know, that's always, and I call that stage like the duplicate stage. And then you've got to understand, you know, all of the international delivery, all the returns, the tax, you know, all the other things.
And does your book kind of pull those pieces out and say you need to consider these areas? And
so what we do then is we've put together what I call the Grow Global method, which tells you the 6 steps, which is the 6 steps in the title, that you need to go through to actually do that. And there are checklists within each of the sections as well. So you can literally see if you've done them, and if not, do them before you move on to the next stage. So no, it's really, hopefully it's really helpful.
It does sound it, yeah, definitely. I mean, I've not read it yet, so this is one of the worst things that I could actually say.
This is his copy.
And you're going to sign it for me later, which is great. We're obviously here at a marketplace event today. So in terms of kind of the Grow Global strategy, does marketplaces play a specific category as a chapter in there, or how do you talk about it?
Yeah, for me, I think there's a major distinction between, and people get confused about where they should invest their money in digital. And for me, there's 2 things. There's what I call the digital sales platforms, which would be your website, e-commerce, e-marketplace, and selling through social, or selling through partners, say in other countries as well. And then once you've got those digital sales platforms up and running properly, then you can start spending money on digital marketing, whether it be social, you know, social ads, or anything else that you might be doing. So I think that's the distinction. So for me, you've got to get a balance between all of those digital sales platforms, and it's about finding for your business, for your category, for your products and your customer types, what is the best balance. Some people might, you know, spend a lot more time on e-marketplaces and think that that's the place to go. Others might do, you know, start setting up social stores. So it just depends really what your business is doing, which is the best combination for you.
And in terms of kind of, so you've been doing this for over 10 years now, have you got a really good success story in terms of what you can share with some of our listeners today?
Yeah, I think one of my, and actually she's written the forward for my book, is a lady called Neve Barker from the travel wrap company. They sell absolutely beautiful cashmere wraps that you can wear. Actually, they started like travel wraps, but actually you can wear them anywhere that you really want to. And she started off with selling through basically partners, distributors, and stores and things like that at the beginning, but she found that even though they're sort of a luxury product, that her margins were being eroded, and she didn't really have much control over her brand as well while she was doing that. So I had a meeting with her a good few years ago now, and sort of like said to her, well, why don't you go like pure play online? And that's what she's done over time. She's got rid of all of her, you know, distributors and stockists, and now she sells more or less exclusively online. So she started off on a website that was pretty ropey, and she, by her own admission, we like to keep it simple. And but she's now, it's one of the most beautiful websites that I've actually seen. She doesn't sell on e-marketplaces right now, but she has increased her sales like absolutely massively. So over 100% in the UK and 400% in the US. And she has like an internationalized version of her website for the US.
And obviously because she's owning that proposition now and she's not going through redistributors, she's got much more margin in the product. So
Absolutely.
she's, if her sales are going up 100% and her margin should be kind of relative to that as well. That's an unbelievable success.
Exactly.
So whilst that's a success, what would you kind of highlight as potential pitfalls, or what are the kind of the alarm bells that you need to really be considering if you're going global?
Yeah, I guess the thing is not doing your research before you go and just for example, you're at Newegg and you go, okay, I'll list on Newegg because I've been there today. That may end up being the absolutely perfect thing for you, but you really should work out which countries you're going to and do them generally one by one.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, spread themselves too thinly, especially if they don't have big marketing teams or digital marketing teams. So really don't, do that. Do them one by one and check that you're doing the right, e-marketplace and the right country for your customer base. Oh my gosh, there's so many things that people do. I think another big thing that people think about digital is that it's a cost,
mm-hmm.
and that it's not an investment in the business. But I look at it that it is a cost, but you don't need, say, a salesperson, or you don't need somebody in your team, and that you're actually reaching people who are actually in buying mode.
Yes.
Online, and you can reach across the whole of the world. So I think that's another thing. Another thing is not calculating your margins properly.
Yeah, you talked about that in the panel session.
Yeah, absolutely. This is, I have people whose sales have gone up massively, but they're still not necessarily that profitable. So, you might have 400% growth in sales, but say, you're not profitable, or you're selling on a marketplace at a loss. So it's really important, and it doesn't take long. Seriously, it takes an hour to just go through and open up an Excel spreadsheet and then just put in, how much your product costs or how much you buy it in for, and then just literally just all the different costs, especially on e-marketplaces. Those costs are very transparent.
Yes.
So it's very easy just to put them in, the listing cost, if it's a monthly cost, and just start listing them, the packaging, the postage, or the warehousing, just go through, and at the end you'll be able to see whether you've got enough margin to actually do it, because we're in business, right?
Exactly, and I think that's a really good point, because you don't even have to say, right, I want to switch on America and have to go through the logistics piece, because if it doesn't make sense in terms of an economics part of it, then it's a non-starter straight away, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, I had a client the other day that came on one of my workshops, and she went away and started doing this, and she was coming back. She goes, "Oh, we've stopped selling so and so to one country because we just realised that we're selling at a loss."
Perfect, absolutely amazing. I think what we're going to do is bring the interview to a bit of a close. Is there anything else that you'd like the viewers and the people listening to kind of take away from the rest of the day, apart from buy your book, or is it buy your book?
You can buy the book. I get that if you buy the book, it will actually clarify what you need to do overall. But no, I think the thing is don't be scared and get started with it. And if you're already selling internationally, then make sure that you're performing in each of the markets that you're in already. Put your effort into that first before starting to go into other new markets again, so you're balanced but you're not too thinly spread.
Fantastic. Really appreciate your time today. All this information will be available on the We Are Pentagon website and also on Retail Without Borders website. I look forward to reading your book, and once again, thank you very much for your time.
Here we are. Here's your copy.
Perfect.
I'll sign it in a minute.
Thank you.